Go ahead.
So good morning, my doctor. Good morning, my colleagues. And good morning to everyone who's going to watch this taped video. So I hope you're all doing well today. I'm again your colleague Fatma Abu Shaban. And today I'm going to give my presentation, which is going to be an application on what we have studied so far, the Aristotelian plot, the tragedies, the elements of tragedy, and so on. So my presentation is going to be on Macbeth. And during my presentation, I'm going first to give you general information about both Shakespeare and Macbeth. Then I'm going to move to the characters of the play. Then I'm going to talk about the play development, how the events go. Then I'm going to give the analysis of the plot, of Macbeth plot. Then the last thing is the question that you are going to answer it. It is left for you that whether Macbeth is a murderer or a victim, whether he's a murderer, he's a killer, he's a criminal, or he's the victim of the prophecy, the witches, and his wife, wickedness. Okay, so during my presentation you're going to think in this question because you're going to answer it. So is everything okay? Okay, so let's start with general information about William Shakespeare. We all know who is William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare is the greatest dramatist, playwright, and poet of all times. He lived in the Elizabethan era, and we know that the Elizabethan era, it is the time where England was ruled by Queen Elizabeth. It is time of peace, prosperity, and so on, and it's time of economic growth as well. So the Elizabethan era, his works, he wrote too many famous works, and some of which are his 4 tragedies. We know King Lear, we know Hamlet, Othello, and Macbeth, and today, inshallah, I'm going to talk about Macbeth. So Macbeth, it is a great tragedy for Shakespeare. So the writer of Macbeth is Shakespeare. It is based on Holinshed's Chronicles of England, Scotland, and Ireland. It was written in 1605 in its first portfolio, but it wasn't published then. Shakespeare waited a bit, then he published it in 1623. Okay, now the play itself, it is about the tragic flow, or it is about the downfall of a couple, of Macbeth, the tragic hero, and his wife, Lady Macbeth. It is about the prophecy of the witches. It is about the excessive ambition of Macbeth. So this, inshallah, is going to be clear when I'm going to give you the events and the play development. Then the characters. Now, when I was preparing for the play, I read the original script of Macbeth play, and it was in my hands. And in order to make things easier for you, I watched the movie. All pictures inserted here are based on the movie I watched, so things will be easier for you to follow. Okay? So.
Now, are you going to present the characters, or are you going to analyze the characters?
No, I'm going first to give them a simple introduction about everything. Yes, it's just a presentation. Then I'm going to talk in the play development.
But the analysis
there is this, the plot. Yes, yeah. There's analysis. Sure. Okay. So the first thing is Macbeth. We all know that the Macbeth, he's the tragic hero of the play. He's noble, he's good, he's loyal to the king, and we're going to see how he's loyal, and we're going to see how he's going to be not loyal at the end. And he's one of the king's men, the most loyal man of the king's men. Then we have Banquo. Banquo also is one of the king's men. He's loyal. He's one of the thanes of Scotland. And we're going to see what is the relationship between Banquo and Macbeth regarding the prophecy, because both are going to receive a prophecy. Then we have Fleance. You will know why I mentioned Fleance here and why I inserted him later on regarding also the prophecy. Then we have the witches. Now, the witches, they are the supernatural element of the play. They are, you know, the so-called the sisters, the witches. They are very old women and hideous with ugly appearances, and they call them that they are not earth creatures. So we're going to see what is the role that they are going to play. Then we have King Duncan. He is king of Scotland, and he is like the core of the whole play. He's the one who's going to be killed in order to fulfill the prophecy. Then we have Lady Macbeth. She's like the driving force of the whole killing sequence, or whole killing, you know, series of the play. We're going to see how she's going to fill his mind's husband with, you know, wicked and evil thoughts, and how she's going to just to insist and go and kill King Duncan in order to be the king. Then we have Macduff. Now, Macduff is also one of the king's men. He's thane of 5. He's so loyal to the king, and we're going to see how he's so loyal to the king, and we're going to see what is his relationship with Macbeth. because he's the one who's going to kill Macbeth in the end, and I burned the whole story. Okay, then the play development. Now I'll start, but before starting with the play development, you need to know that this play takes place in Scotland, where we have the king, King Duncan. He's king of Scotland, and he has his own kingdom. But among his kingdom, we have some tyrants, traitors, and we have some rebellions. Those rebellions were, conspiring against him. They want the throne. They want to be, instead of him. But fortunately, we have whom? We have Macbeth. Macbeth is the one who's going to lead the battles against those tyrants, against those traitors, and against those rebellions. So till now, Macbeth is so good. Okay, he's loyal, he's a knight, he is leading the battles against the conspiracy we have in this play. So those are things you need to know before starting the play. So let's start with the play. So the play opens with thundering, lightning, and rain. We have three old sisters on the stage. They are old, hideous women. Those women are the so-called sisters. They are the witches. They are the ones who are going to give Macbeth or deliver Macbeth the prophecy. The prophecy that we're going to see what it says, okay? Now, those sisters are from the very beginning plotting against Macbeth. They were planning to lead him to his downfall. And the evidence on this, because I read the original script, I brought you the evidence. They say, where shall we three meet again? In thunder, lightning, or in the rain? When the hurly burl is done, when the battle's lost and won, where the blaze upon the heath, there to meet with Macbeth. So they were planning to meet Macbeth upon the heath. We're going to see when the battle's lost and won, what does it mean? We're going to have battles that are lost and battles that they are won. And we're going to see how they're going to meet Macbeth. So the play opens with the three sisters and their, plan to go to Macbeth. Then we have our knight, the loyal one. We have Macbeth, and the play starts with the Battle of Elon, where we have Macbeth leading, forces in the army against the conspiracy against King Duncan. And sure, he wins the battle, and he's so loyal, he fights so hard. And then we have the three sisters who were waiting for him upon the heath. Now he meets with the sisters. The sisters tell him that you, Macbeth, they give him the prophecy. They deliver him the prophecy. That you, Macbeth, are now Thane of the Glams. And yes, that's sure. That's sure because Macbeth in that time was Thane of the Glams. As I said, he's a noble. So he's Thane of the Glams. Then you're going to be Thane of Cawdor. So you're going to be something higher. Then you're going to be King of Scotland. So Macbeth says, like, how I'm going to be Thane of Cawdor while Thane of Cawdor is alive? And how I'm going to be King of Scotland while King of Scotland is also alive? So this was the prophecy that was delivered to whom? To Macbeth. There is another prophecy that was delivered to whom? To Banquo. They tell Banquo that you, Banquo, are going to be the father of kings. In your line, you're going to have kings. So Banquo was also surprised. And this is why I brought you Banquo's son, who is his Fleance. Okay, so the two prophecies were delivered, doubts were there, and how we're going to fulfill this prophecy. After a while, after Macbeth won the battle, the news was delivered to the king, and the king was so happy that the battle was won. So Thane of the Glams, Thane of Cawdor was a tyrant. So the king punished him, and instead of him, they put Macbeth as Thane of Cawdor. So we have here the first part of the prophecy is what is fulfilled. So he's not Thane of the Glams anymore. He's Thane of Cawdor. So what to happen then? So how I'm going to be, King of Scotland? Here he starts to believe in the prophecy, in fulfilling the prophecy. So after that, we have Macbeth meeting with King Duncan. King Duncan is so, satisfied and content that you, Macbeth, deserve to be Thane of Cawdor, and I'm going to be your guest in the castle, and I'm going to be in your house. So what Macbeth sends to his wife, Lady Macbeth, that I'm now Thane of Cawdor, and he tells her about the prophecy, and he tells her that the king is coming to us. So Lady Macbeth starts to think of how he can fulfill the last part of the prophecy. How can I make my husband become King of Scotland? So she's the driving force behind, you know, the whole play. She's the one who was filling her husband's mind with those wicked, you know, and evil thoughts that you should be the king. You should kill King Duncan. And unfortunately, that what happened. We'll see how. So we have here Lady Macbeth was waiting for the king when he comes to their castle. Then the hallucinations start with Macbeth. He starts to see bloody dagger coming to him, and this bloody dagger is, you know, leading him to the chamber of the king. So he starts to hallucinate. After his wife's seduction and manipulation, and she was like, kill King Duncan, kill King Duncan. So he was like, okay, then what? He starts to see the bloody dagger coming to him and leading him to the chamber of King Duncan, and that's what happened. He went there. Now he goes to King Duncan and he kills him. And we have him here, and King Duncan is killed. So this is the first, you know, murder in the whole play. He kills whom? King Duncan. So after that, Malcolm sees Macbeth. But Macbeth, you know, doesn't kill him. Malcolm sees him and he knows that, yes, you are the killer of my father. You're the one who killed my father. But Macbeth is leaving him and he flees to whom? To England. He flees to England, and we'll see his role in the end of the play. Then we have Macduff. That is Macduff. Macduff is very loyal to the king. He comes at the morning to see the king, and Macbeth was like, okay, go and see the king. And he was like shocked how the king is killed. Macbeth here, in order to remove and to clear away all the suspicions from him, he kills the two guards that were protecting the king, the two guards that were on the king's chamber. So the first thing, he kills King Duncan, then he kills whom? The guards on the chamber of King Duncan. Then we have now whom? We have Banquo and his son Fleance. Now Banquo was with Macbeth when he received the prophecy. He knows that the weird sisters gave Macbeth a prophecy that says you're going to be king of Scotland, but before you're going to be Thane of Cawdor. So he became king of Thane of Cawdor, and he's going to be what? King of Scotland. So he suspects that, yes, Macbeth is the one who killed King Duncan in order to be what? The king. So he's now afraid in his son Fleance, because Macbeth turned to be like a killing machine. He's killing people just in order to fulfill his prophecy, and he was afraid in his son. And you know, his fear was in its place, because we're going to see what is going to happen. Then after that, who is going to be the next king? For sure, the most loyal one, who was, you know, leading the battles against the tyrants and the traitors. Who is that? And that is Macbeth. And Macbeth here is crowned the king, and his lady is beside him. So we have Macbeth as the king. Okay. Then after that, we have Macbeth there on the horse, and we have Banquo and his son. Macbeth orders two men to go after Banquo and to kill him, in order to remove all the suspicions and in order to get rid of everyone who knows about the prophecy, and that, yes, I received the prophecy and I'm going to be the king. So he sends those two men who want to kill King Banquo, and that was also done. Banquo was dead, and he also sent them to kill his son, his little son Fleance, but his little son escaped and wasn't part of that murder. So Banquo is dead. So King Duncan, the two guards, Banquo, and after that, Macbeth was holding like a feast. He was inviting his whole kingdom, his men, and during that feast, he was, you know, getting just mad and crazy, and he reaches a level where his madness and the hallucinations were aberrant to people he's talking to and he's facing. So things were out of control. By the way, his wife didn't know about the murder of Banquo. She only knows about the murder of King Duncan, and that was so satisfying to her, because her her husband has become king, you know, of Scotland. But she didn't know that he kills the Banquo. So Macbeth starts to see Banquo's ghost between the people in the feast, and he gets so mad, and his madness was so clear, and so that Macduff couldn't stand that anymore. He took his wife and gets out of the feast. Then we have Lady Macbeth cleared all the guests away, and she starts to calm down her husband and to say to him that it's okay, you must, you must have fulfilled this prophecy, and it would be like fulfilled in a way or another, but you did the right thing. Like she was calming him, and that wasn't working, because we're going to see what will happen. Then we have the three sisters again. Now Macbeth, after fulfilling the prophecy, he was asking himself, what is going to happen? Am I going to be the king for good forever, or Fleance will take the crown and the kingdom from me? So he decides that I must visit and have another visit to whom? To the three sisters. So he goes to them, and they tell him three apparition, or another prophecy. Okay, so the first prophecy was fulfilled, and now he's going to have another prophecy. And this prophecy, first thing they told him that Macbeth, 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 beware Macduff, beware Thane of Fife. We're going to see why they tell him this. The another part of the prophecy, they say to him that Macbeth, 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 be bloody, bold and resolute. None of woman born shall harm Macbeth. That no one who's like a woman born shall harm you. And this is like impossible, because we are all of woman born. So how can I find a man who's not a woman born? So Macbeth thinks that yes, I'm protected by charm, and my life now is. I will never be, vanquished or defeated by any of a woman-born man. So he was so confident. Now, the last part of the prophecy, they told him that Macbeth shall never vanquish be until great Birnam Wood to high Dunstan Hill shall come against him. Now, the last part of the prophecy, that how come a wood moves to his castle? That would never happen. So Macbeth was so sure that I will never be defeated, and my life is protected by what? By charm. So after that, he believes that yes, I'm invulnerable now, and I can't be defeated. Now, as I said, Macduff starts to suspect Macbeth, and he was afraid on his family. So he sends his family away from Scotland. He sends them to to his house, but in another place. But what happened that Macbeth knows about the thing, and he sends men. He brings them back, and he burned them alive. And we have here his little children, and we have him, and we have here them. Burnt alive. So he killed King Duncan, the guards. He killed also Banquo. His son fortunately escaped. So he burned the whole Macduff's family while they were alive. And they say that Macbeth ordered that the whole people that they were living in the place to be killed. Even the servants of that place, they were killed. Okay, so after that we have Malcolm, as I said from the very beginning, he fled to England. So Macduff also then goes to England, and they start to gathering the army in order to bring the kingdom back. So we have here a unity between Malcolm and Macduff in order to get rid of this tyrant of Macbeth for sure, and to have the kingdom back, kingdom of Scotland. Then here's Malcolm, and here's the army he's gathering, and he is, by the way, having the support of the English army. Then we have Macduff and Malcolm. Malcolm is telling Macduff that your family was burnt alive and Macbeth killed them all. And he was like, okay, I'm going to avenge for my family, and that won't be, in vain, and I'm going to have revenge. And then we have Macbeth. Macbeth here reaches, the highest level of insanity. He is mentally unstable. The hallucinations degree increase, and his wife too. His wife is dead now because she witnessed the murder of King Duncan, and she saw him when he killed the two guards, and she was couldn't stand and bear that anymore, so she's dead now. And we have Macbeth with his insanity. Then now the prophecy is going to be fulfilled. As I said, Malcolm and Macduff, they have the unity, and they decided to bring the kingdom of King Duncan back. So we have now there's a little difference between in this event in special from the movie and from the real script. Now in the script, Malcolm and Macduff order men to disguise okay, any branches from the Birnam wood. And this is why or how we're going to see the Birnam wood moves to Duncan, to the castle of Macbeth. But in the film we have the fire. There is a fire in the Birnam wood that is going to reach the castle of Macbeth. So we have here the Birnam wood is burning, and Macbeth now he's like, okay, Birnam wood has really moved to my castle, to Duncan. So my life is not protected by charm, or I'm not protected anymore. Am I going to be defeated? So we have Macbeth here. Then we have Macduff. Yes, Macduff decided that I'm going to avenge to my family, and Macbeth meets and they fight. And Macbeth said that you can't defeat me because I'm not going to be defeated on a man who's woman born, and no one can defeat me because no one is not a woman born man. But Macduff here says that. Macbeth told him that thou losest labor, I bear a charmed life, which must not yield to none of woman born. But Macduff tells him that despite thy charm, and did the angel whom thou still hast served, till thee Macduff was from his mother womb untimely ribbed. So Macduff is not a woman born man. He was ribbed from his mother's womb. So Macbeth, realizes that he's going to be defeated, and the witches were plotting and planning to bring him to his downfall because Macduff is the one who's going to kill him, and he's not a woman-born man. So all things are clear till now. You get the story? Okay. So as I said from the very beginning, the witches say that when the battles are lost and won. We saw the witches that they were waiting Macbeth upon the heath when the battles were won. The Elon battle in the very beginning, Macbeth won it. And now the battles are lost. Macbeth is dead and Macduff killed him. So yes, they were waiting him upon the heath where the battles are lost and won. And we have then the three sisters here. And we have Macbeth is dead now. And there is a mighty shout of joy. Macbeth is dead. The battles has been lost and won. And we have Malcolm, now he's crowned as King of Scotland, sure after his father. Then these curtains fall, and I need a marker. I need a marker. Not yet. I need a marker, okay, because this is not working.
Right. Is it working?
No.
Right.
There's no marker here? No one have a marker here? No one has a marker? Oh my God. How I'm going to explain the analysis?
Right. So maybe check whether we have a marker.
I'm going to write on my fingers. إنه مش قيصري بالضبط كم من إمو يعني ما ولدتهوش in a normal birth. Okay. Okay. Thanks. Okay. So the analysis of the plot. We all know that the Aristotelian plot contains or consists of 5 acts. We have first Act 1. Act 1. Act 1 here we have, it is known as the introduction. Here we have the introduction of most of the characters, the themes. We have, here we see the witches, we see Macbeth, Banquo, and we see Lady Macbeth. Then after that, most of the themes were introduced. We have honor, we have loyalty, we have chaos, we have order. Okay. Okay. Now, here Macbeth receives the prophecy. he sends to his wife that yes, I received a prophecy, and she seeks to fulfill the prophecy. She's filling his mind with evil and wicked, thoughts. So by the end of Act 1, Macbeth is willing to kill King Duncan. So this is like in Act 1. Now,
what is the main problem?
What?
What is the main problem?
In Act 1?
Yeah.
Like
as presented to the reader, what is the major problem? Yes.
Believing in the prophecy.
That's right.
fulfilling the prophecy that yes, how Macbeth is going to fulfill the prophecy and
So
seeking
the
after it.
conflict here, is it external conflict?
No,
or
it is external till now.
Sorry?
It is external to now, to the prophecy.
Whom and whom?
Between maybe Macbeth and the witches that,
You don't have a problem between the witches and Macbeth.
no, maybe,
Yeah. It's much more internal than
Okay.
the external.
For-
It's
fulfilling.
between Macbeth, his loyalty to the king.
yes, and his desire,
ambition to
yes,
become a
his
king.
excessive ambition,
Right?
yes,
Yeah, this is the problem. This is a psychological problem.
yes.
But the external conflict already has been lost and won.
Oh yes, the
Because
battles,
the
yes,
battle already finished.
Yes.
Now we start a new problem. What is the problem?
Yes.
Right, it is the conflict inside Macbeth between his own loyalty to the king on one hand.
Yes, and fulfilling
his
the prophecy.
ambition to become
The king.
on the other hand. Yeah.
Okay, so then we have the rising actions. Here we have Act 2. Here, where the murder takes place. Here we have, killing of King Duncan. We have Macduff discovering the
Yeah, but
the murder.
Before the murder of the king, what happened?
Oh.
We still have a battle, psychological battle.
Yes, to
came
kill.
an end.
Yes, the
There is a
hallucinations.
war that needs to
Yeah.
be lost and won.
Yes,
And
the
this
internal.
war is an
internal, yes.
war, not an external
War,
war.
yes.
right?
We have
So
the
this
hallucinations.
battle- No hallucinations.
Okay.
I'm talking about what? About the internal conflict between, right, his ambition and his loyalty.
Yes.
Right? That comes to an end. Is settled by whom?
But his wife.
Good.
Yes.
By
His
Lady
wife.
Macbeth.
Yes.
So Lady Macbeth
Is the driving
made
force.
this internal conflict
Yes.
to come to an
To an
end.
end, yes.
That you have to kill the
King Duncan, yes.
Right? Yeah, so this is before the murder, the internal conflict already between loyalty and ambition
Was
came
done.
by to an end. And
Yes.
the act of murdering King Duncan is actually the first complication. The first complication, which is what? Who is the victim here?
Yes.
The victim is loyalty. So loyalty is victimized by whom?
Macbeth.
Right. So I mean loyalty and justice are victimized by Macbeth.
Yes.
Because right, he killed the king, right? And
The guards.
Right, the loyalty is victimized.
Yes.
And the victimizer
Is Macbeth.
Macbeth.
Yes.
But
So
he himself was
a victim of his wife.
his own
Wife,
wife's
yes.
ambition,
Yes.
right? So he is both a victim
And a victimizer.
and a victimizer,
Yes.
right? But this will develop to become much more
Yes.
than
The killing, yes,
yeah,
the series.
I mean that we will have more other, because we have consequences. The consequences that justice has supporters. Who are the supporters of justice?
Malcolm and Macduff.
Malcolm and Macbeth.
And even the
And
witches.
and even the guards, the two
Yes.
guards of the king. And he has to put an end
To them.
So
Yes.
we have problems of finishing whom? Macduff,
Banku.
Banku,
Yes.
as well as
The guards.
Malcolm. And the guards. He
Yes.
is supposed to kill Malcolm too.
Yes. But Malcolm fled
So these are the development which made the action to rise more
to its
and
yes, to its
more.
complex. So the murder takes place here. We have Macduff discovering the murder. Then after that, we have Malcolm. He flees to England in this act. Then we reach here, Act 3. Yes, we reach Act 3. Here we have Macbeth. هي أساسا مش مبينة. أوضح. مش مشكلة. So in Act 3, we have Malcolm's family is burned alive and they are all killed. We have Macduff deciding to kill, to avenge to the king, to his family. Then we have now, in the end of Act 3, Macbeth decides to go to the witches again in order to make sure that no one can, you know, defeat him, and he's invulnerable. And by Act 4, and the last thing they say to him that you should, you know, beware of Macduff. And after that, okay, he killed Macduff family. Here, Macduff discovers that, yes, my family was killed on the hand of whom? Of Macbeth. Then we reached Act 5. Okay, Act 5, in which we have the Burnham Wood moves to the castle of Macbeth, to Duncan. And we have Macduff and Malcolm's unity, you know, has been now shown. And here we have Macbeth, who's not afraid of this unity. You know, he believes that I'm not going to be defeated, so they can do wherever they want. But here he believes that, yes, I'm going to be defeated because the Burnham Wood is moving to my castle. But he didn't know here that Macduff was ripped from his mother's womb. Here he fights with Macduff and he tells him that I was taken and ripped from my mother's womb, and you know, and he kills Macbeth. After killing Macbeth, the new king is whom? Is Malcolm. That's regarding the analysis. Okay. Then we move to Macbeth as a tragic hero. Now Macbeth, we all know that Macbeth is a person of a high rank. We see from the very beginning he was one of the king's men. He's so loyal, noble, he's leading the battles against the tyrants, and he's a person of a high rank. He starts with being what? With being Thane of Glamis. Then he was a king of Cawdor. So he's of a high rank, he's noble, honorable, and highly respected because of the battles he was leading. His strength, he's so strong, he's ambitious, his courage, and he has honor. Then his weaknesses, he listens to the prophecy told by the witches. If he didn't,
superstitious thinking.
Yes, if he didn't believe, or if he didn't, you know, start thinking so seriously in this prophecy, nothing would have happened. And his desire to be the king, because he believes in the prophecy.
His ambition.
Yes, his excessive ambition.
Well, but I think
that's
his
good.
major problem is his weakness before his own wife.
Yes, because she was,
right?
you know, manipulating.
That nothing would have happened
if he didn't listen to his wife.
No, not refused. I mean that without the pressure of his own wife, nothing would have happened.
Yes, his wife.
And he, although he's courageous in the war field,
he's not in front of his wife.
But in front of his wife,
he's not.
nothing. She has the upper hand.
Yes.
كلمتها هي ليش؟
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. He's powerless before her.
Yes.
Right?
I mean, he should have refused his wife.
He couldn't, because she insists, and she was like, you must fulfill the prophecy, and you're going to be the king, because the first part of the prophecy was fulfilled.
3 minutes?
Okay.
Only 3 minutes.
Okay, I'm going to end. So in the end, he allows his wife to manipulate his ambitious desires, and we talk about this. Suffers a fall, which also brings disaster to others. He didn't only bring the catastrophe or the disaster for himself, but he killed the king, the guards, Macduff's family, and killed a lot of people in his way. Okay, and then, come on. So the question here is for you: whether Macbeth is a murderer, he's a killing machine. Yes, he's a criminal. He deserves the end he has had, or he's the victim of his wife. His wife was filling his mind with evil and dirty, or he's the victim of the witches.
But if it comes to say he was a victim of his own wife and his own ambition, I don't think that.
Yes, he could have.
He's
Yes.
a murderer. Not only he's a victimizer. He victimized justice and loyalty first of all.
Yes.
So the only victim that was, killed and raped right at the beginning of the faith was loyalty and justice. And at the end, justice is restored.
Yes, when he was killed.
This
Yes.
is the whole thing about. And he, right, in order to rape justice and victimize justice, he killed all justice supporters.
Yes.
So he's a murderer, for sure.
Yes.
And no one is supposed to be sympathizing with him.
No
right?
catharsis.
Okay. Yeah.
But catharsis is
Must be.
achieved because of his wife.
Yes.
Catharsis is achieved because he got what he deserves.
Yes. He was killed at the end.
And because we know that somehow he is a victim.
Right.
He's a good person at the end because.
How do you say this is a good person?
Because from the very beginning, you know, he was with the king. He was leading the battles against the tyrants. He's good. He's honorable. He's not bad.
Yeah, but how do you say he's not bad?
Okay, he starts with being
And
good.
you tell me he's not bad?
He starts with being good. Okay, but after his wives, you know, and the things she did, he started to think otherwise.
Right. Let's tell you about myself. Never sympathize with him.
Yes.
And I felt happy, right, when his wife died. And when they came to tell him, right, that your wife died, and he said she should have died anyway.
Yes, yes. Yes, I read this. Yes.
You understand what I mean?
Yes.
Right? I mean that he himself, right, was not that, I mean...
So he deserves what happened to him.
Yeah.
And that's all I have. Okay,
Right,
thanks.
thank you very much.